So what happens when you take pieces of the Bourne series and mix them with parts of Total Recall and order the entire thing from Wish? Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Time Bomb, and we're going to talk about it next on Drew Reviews. So, guys, as everyone knows, The Terminator is my favorite movie of all time, so it should come as no surprise that Michael Biehn is an actor that I really admire a lot. You know, performances like Kyle Reese, like Corporal Hicks, like Johnny Ringo, like Coffee in the Abyss. So a lot of his lesser known movies, like the one we're going to talk about today, 1991's Time Bomb, I never really got the chance to see. I actually got this from a little hole in the wall shop a couple of towns over on VHS because I'd never seen an actual DVD copy. And it turns out I looked it up and they're going for like $50. Shout Factory did them and now they're out of print. So I watched my 25-cent VHS. Yes, you heard that right. In preparation for this review. Now, this is on and off of Tubi. I saw it a long time ago, actually on Tubi, but it had been so long. So I got this, watched it. I said, I'm going to review Time Bomb for all you out there because not enough people know about this movie. Of course, this was directed by Avi Nesher, and he did some direct-to-video stuff in the 90s, like Doppelganger and Mercenary. Those are worth a watch, I guess. This is probably maybe the most well-known. It stars Michael Biehn, of course, as we said. Patsy Kensit, who was the love interest to Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 2. She was the assistant to the South African diplomats. And I really like the chemistry they have in this movie. Basically, the plot of Time Bomb is you've got Eddie Kay, and he is this watchmaker. He repairs watches. And she, of course, comes in to bring him a watch, and that's how they meet. She is a psychologist, and that night, a bomb ends up going off in the neighborhood, and he saves this woman and her child and makes the news. And then all of a sudden, all these guys come in to try to kill him. And they're trying to piece together, Eddie Kay and Dr. Anna Omar, played by Kensit, what exactly is happening, why all these, agents are coming at him with knives and guns. At one point, Billy Blanks attacks him, the Tybo guy. Tracy Scroggins is in this movie. But as it turns out, Kay was part of this shadow government conspiracy program called Bluebird, I believe it was, in the early 1970s, toward the end of Vietnam. And he was the ultimate assassin. And of course, he ended up getting his memory wiped clean by this bomb that went off, and they thought he was dead. And so, of course, he reappears on the news, and they have to take him out. Of course, along the way, Eddie and Dr. Nomar end up falling for each other, and she helps him find out who he was. They go back to the psychiatric center in Arizona. That's one thing about this movie. It takes place in LA. They go to Mexico real briefly. They go to Arizona and then back to LA. So they're on the move a lot. But yes, this is very much a chase movie, and I really like the action in it. You've got that scene where he comes out from his first session there with Dr. Nomar and Tracy Scoggins and Billy Blanks, and I can't remember the bald guy's name, but they all attack him there. That was a really good piece of action. You've got a shootout in this porno theater. I thought that was interesting. You don't see that too much. This woman moaning and screaming on the stage while they're going around theater seats and shooting bullets at each other. I thought that was wild. You get this pretty good fight at the end of the movie with him and Billy Blanks, where they're fighting on top of this roof, kind of like Highlander, with this big neon sign. They're getting thrown into the sign, and the letters are going out. I like that scene. But yeah, action-wise, this is pretty top-notch. Acting-wise, it's pretty okay. So what I like about Michael Biehn, is his stoicism in most of the parts that he plays. Whether it's Kyle Reese or Corporal Hicks. He does do crazy fairly well. In the Abyss there, when he gets the deep sea sickness, or he's slightly unhinged. There's Johnny Ringo. In this movie, he has to be kind of mentally tortured. He doesn't know what's going on. He has no memory of his past. Everything that he thinks is true is a lie, kind of like Total Recall. They go to this point where they go back to the treatment facility, and it's been empty for 13 years or something. And he gets in this submersion tub, and they project the images that he saw, the images that you see throughout the movie of the naked lady and him playing football as a kid. And so you kind of see the brainwashing that was going on there. So he has to play traumatized, and I'm used to that stoic Michael Biehn, and my brain doesn't know quite how to handle it. I like it in a way because he's branching out, but I don't think it's particularly great as far as that goes. Patsy Kensit is okay. If I had $1 for every time she screams "Eddie," um, yeah, I'll be pretty rich by the end of this movie. It does kind of get on my nerves a little bit. They do got a good chemistry together. They have quite the sex scene there toward the end. And speaking of Patsy Kensit, in this movie she plays this psychiatrist. That's a field you have to go to college for what, 6 to 8 years to get your degree in. And at the time she was what, 22, maybe 21 years old. And so it's funny, they try to nerd her up by putting glasses on her, kind of legitimize that character. But I'm not sure that I buy it whenever I look at her. She's just so young and so beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, man, a year or two ago, she put a picture of herself online. She's in her mid 50s now. And man, she still looked good. She honestly looks like she could do, another Time Bomb or a Lethal Weapon movie right now. She's in seriously good shape. So kudos to you, ma'am, if you're out there listening. But I think I just wanted more from this movie, given the people involved. And that might be unfair to want more out of a small movie like this. One that I'd never seen. It's, only on Tubi every once in a great while. So, yeah, I may be unfairly judging it, but I did like this movie overall. Of course, I like the locations. The music's pretty good. The story is really good. Anytime you get, somebody's memory gone and get a sci-fi element in there, I'm gonna like that. The acting kind of was what it was. Not terrible, but not what I was expecting. Overall, I really did like this movie, and I've seen a lot worse this year. B movies, big budget movies. You can do a whole lot worse than Time Bomb. Part of me wants to go with 6 on this movie, but I think that's probably a little bit too high. I want to go 5.8, a high 5 3/4 for Time Bomb. It's definitely worth a watch if you can find it out there on a streaming service. Hopefully, it pops up on YouTube one of these days. Hopefully you don't have to go to some little hole in the wall shop like I did and pay $0.25 to see this thing, tracking lines and everything. But it was kind of fun, popping this into a VCR and just having that nostalgic time with it. So guys, let me know what you think of Time Bomb if you've seen it. Is 5.8 not high enough? Is it too high? I think it's a 5.4 on IMDb, something like that. So I figure that's about fair. So guys, thanks for checking out the channel. If this is your first time here and you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I do movies like this all the time, sci-fi, action, and horror. So yeah, be on the lookout for more like this. And as always, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you down the line.